Right, Angela's making her way off with the red flag. She'll shut the gate. Then they're in the hands of Chris Costello, the starter. 2 lights up. 3, 4, 5. Good start by all. Looks as though Nick Sutherland may have jumped the start on that one. And Gavin Veltmeyer through into first place. Doug Stockwell second. And I think Nick Sutherland may have managed to jump up into third place. And Gavin Veltmeyer leading down into turn 5, Doug Stockwell in behind. James Jarman on the 125's got himself up into third place. It's a Herculean effort against a 650 on a 125. I think that's Nick Sutherland who's contesting with James at the moment. And looks as though there will be a jump start penalty handed out for bike number 16, which is Nick Sutherland. That'll be a 20-second penalty, 20 seconds added to his race time. Gavin Veltmeyer comes through in first. Doug Stockwell, James Jarman, Nick Sutherland, and Scotty Finlay there in fifth. So fourth and fifth move up to third and fourth, with Sutherland dropping back 20 seconds. You see the helmets as they tip into turn 4, and through they come. And still Veltmeyer in the lead. He's now built up a little bit of a buffer over Doug Stockwell. Nick Sutherland's got up the inside of James Jarman, but of course remember the 20-second penalty. Jarman's there in third, Scotty Finlay in fourth. We have a yellow flag at turn 1. You can't see anything. And Gavin Veltmeyer up onto the grid. Across the strip for the third time. Doug Stockwell, Nick Sutherland, James Jarman, Scotty Finlay, and Neil Martin. And Gavin Veltmeyer's taken no prisoners in this one at all. He obviously wants the points in the bank. And Doug Stockwell's putting in a pretty good ride, but he's not the measure at the moment, at this point in time, of Gavin Veltmeyer. Nick Sutherland's still hanging in there, but he's got a lot of time to make up to maintain that position. James Jarman putting in a fantastic effort on the little 125 up against Scotty Finlay on the 400. And Scott's going up the inside now into turn 6. But James is able to hold the momentum. Tucks it in front of Scott. Now Scott's hard on the gas trying to get around. So Veltmeyer across the stripe. Stockwell from Sutherland. Scott Finlay trying to go around the outside of James Jarman, but look for Jarman going up the inside, going down into turn 1. Yes, he does. But Finlay managed to maintain momentum going around the outside, picked up third place. And James has now dropped off the tail of Scott Finlay. He will try his hardest through this tight little bit over the back to try and pick up that space. And once he loses the toe, then he's in deep, deep problems. No, it looks as though Scott Finlay's managed to break the toe on Jarman, so Stockwell second, Scott Finlay third, Jarman fourth, Doc Martin in fifth. leader coming up over the hill onto the grid start now. Crosses the line. 2 to go. Stockwell, Southerwood, Finlay, Jarman, Neil Martin. Gavin Belmire putting in a fantastic ride this afternoon. He's now pulling up on a back marker. And coming through turn 6 now, Belmire has almost a complete corner as a buffer between himself and second place, Doug Stockwell. As he now approaches and goes over the start-finish line. Stockwell. Scott Finlay's now made a pass on Nick Southerwood. And James Jarman's still there. Neil Martin. Belmire's put another few metres on them. He's now coming out of turn 6 as they're going in. Just finishing lap 6. It's half distance, 6 to go. Stockwell, SP650 Suzuki. Scott Finlay, they're on a 400. And ZXR, that is, Kawasaki ZXR. Interesting little battle there with numbers 36 and 97 back in 12th and 13th place. That's Brian Krisanich and Nathan Jane. They appear to be having a ball out there. Jarman still there in 4th place. Neil Martin in behind him. And bike number 7, red, white and blue, little Honda RS125. That's Hugh Trenholm. Now, Hugh started in the Hyacinth Cup a few years ago. And is doing very well on the little 125. Not quite as good as James Jarman, but James has had a lot of experience on the 125s at club and national level. Very tidy little rider. for Gavin Veltmeyer across the strip. Neil Martin looks as though he's managing to get on the back tyre of James Jarman. It'll be interesting to see whether Neil's doing it all on the straights or whether he's managed to pick up some over the back of the circuit. Looks as though he was going to try and have a dive up the inside going into turn 2, but discretion may have ruled that one out there. And as they come out of turn 4, it's still James Jarman in front. Neil's closed right up on a slightly wider line, trying to tuck underneath coming out of turn 5. Trying to get into the slipstream of Jarman. Wide entry as it gets, looks as though he's trying to ride around the outside, but it may just be a road too far. It is, he's lost a bit of ground there. Tuck back in on the proper racing line. And then Neil pulls right up on the back of James again. And Gavin Veltmeyer just reels another one off down into turn 5. Just slipping past the back markers. Doug Stockwell's still there in second place. Scott Finlay obviously keeping him honest, but not quite able to get past him. Sitting on the tail. James Jarman there in fourth place, with Neil still behind him. And see what Neil tries this time going into turn 6. Last time it was around the outside and it failed. He's got quite a high corner speed going in there, is Neil Martin, but it just doesn't pay off for him in the long term. 125 is able to put that much faster corner speed through. Now they're in amongst some back markers, and this could get very interesting. Worked out very well for James Jarman. And James up the inside, Neil Martin around the outside, so it was slightly further to go for Neil. Doug Stockwell still, while he's way behind, almost this infield straight behind Gavin Veltmeyer. Scott Finlay is still reasonably close to him, just applying a bit of pressure. James Jarman there in third. Neil Martin behind. And Neil trying to get up on the back tyre of James Jarman at the moment on the 125. He always seems to go for the slightly outside line and tries to ride around the outside, but it doesn't work for him. James is able to maintain that corner speed. A little 125 being so much lighter. And it's white flag lap as well, so there's just the one to go. Unless Gavin Veltmeyer does something silly, that can be assured, but you just never know with the second, third, fourth and fifth. And of course, take into account the 20-second penalty for Nick Sutherwood. And Gavin Veltmeyer on the infield straight, heading down towards Middleman, Toyo Tyres corner, turn 6. Doug Stockwell now quite happily in second place. Scott Finlay behind him. On the road it's Nick Sutherwood, but of course Nick has that 20-second penalty. He'll be back behind James Jarman and Neil Martin. Let's see what Neil can pull out of the hat this time. He's staying right on the back wheel. He's going for the inside this time. But no, he won't have the the corner speed to be able to get up the inside. So second place, Doug Stockwell across the line, Scotty Finlay in third. Now here we come. Neil Martin trying to ride around the outside, but the 125's got it. James Jarman, a sterling effort there, giving Neil Martin